John Lusk here of Lusk Archery Adventures. Serious testing, successful hunting. I'm excited about the Broadhead battle that I have in store today, and that is the Magnus versus the Magnus. Dun dun dun. The battle of the Magnuses, or maybe it's the battle of the Magni, you would say plural. Okay, I don't know. But let me explain why I'm doing this. In my earlier days of doing Broadhead testing, I think I was a bit harsh on some of the heads that didn't utilize the premium steels that some other companies do utilize. And one of those that I was a bit harsh on was the Magnus. The fact is, these broadheads have taken a ton of animals all over the world. They come in at a really good price point. They have a lifetime warranty, and they have a very loyal following. And so in recent times, I thought, you know what, let me rethink the way I critiqued them in the past and put them through some more testing. So I purchased 2 packs of these, and I'm ready to put them through the tests and see how they do. And so what I'm going to be doing is testing them through the standard test that I'm using for 2020. And the reason I'm doing this with one consistent format is so that you can look at all the different videos and see how they all rank. The scoring is going to be consistent and all the tests are the same, so you can see how all the different heads I test measure up and compare one to another. So that testing basically is, first, for a distance, I shoot them out at range to see how well they fly at longer distance. Then I shoot them through a penetration test. And for the penetration test, I'm using a multifaceted medium. I'm using a 1/2 inch layer of MDF surrounded by 1/3 inch layers of rubber foam matting, followed up by clear ballistics ballistic gel. And I'm testing the overall penetration because it's clear. I can measure it precisely to see how well each of the heads penetrate through that medium. And the reason I use MDF rather than plywood, I used to use plywood, but plywood with the graining is very inconsistent. And while MDF is not perfect, it's much more consistent than is plywood. And then after that, I do a test for edge retention. And I shoot the heads through a 22 gauge steel plate for a maximum of 5 times. And what I do is I shoot each head through the 22 gauge steel plate, and then I look at the edge retention. And if the edges of the blades are getting really mangled, then I stop. And I give 2 points for each time the head was able to be shot through the steel plate without significant damage, okay? So the maximum you can get is 10 points. So those are the tests I'm using for all of my heads in 2020, and I'm eager to put these Magnuses through that test to see how they do. And so I'm gonna be testing both in 125 grains. I'm testing the Magnus Stinger Buzz Cut and the Magnus Black Hornet Serrazer. So both of them have the serrated edge. I really like the serrated edge. When you ask any knife maker for a slicing application, a serrated edge is more efficient than is a straight edge. A straight edge is better in a chopping motion, but a serrated edge, because it holds its edge better, it's better for a slicing motion. So I like that Magnus has done that. So I'm gonna zoom in and show you these heads close up, introduce each of them, and then put them through the test. And as always for this year, I'm using my Bowtech SR6 with a 27-inch draw at 72 pounds. I'm shooting a 460 grain Bishop FOC King arrow. I'm using fobs, and I've got a nocturnal knock on the end of it there. So let's see a little bit more about these heads and then see how they do in the testing. So here you can see the 2 heads. I got the Stinger Buzz Cut on the left, and then I've got the Black Hornet Serrazer on the right. And you can see the total length difference. The Serrazer, or the Black Hornet, is significantly shorter, as well as it has a wider cut. The Black Hornet has a 1 1/4 inch cut. The Stinger has a 1 1/8 inch cut. Likewise with the bleeders, they have a different design there. The Stinger has, from my own measurements, a 6/8 of an inch cut in the bleeders, and the Black Hornet has a 7/8 inch cut in the bleeders. And this is the 125 grain version of each. Bullseyes. First I'm going to shoot the Magnus Black Hornet, and then I'm going to shoot a field point. Now the field point. First we'll shoot the Stinger and then the Black Hornet. So here you can see the penetration into the gel, and wow, they penetrated quite well. This is some of the best that I've seen so far. The Black Hornet on the bottom penetrated a full 9 inches, and the Stinger on the top penetrated 9 1/4 inches. So now I'm going to shoot both of these Magnus, the Stinger and then the Black Hornet, into this 22 gauge steel plate. I'll do it up to 5 times, but I'll stop after the blades begin to get considerably marred. Here's the hole size that you can see the difference in, and that's just the same as the cutting diameter. You can see at the Black Hornet, a bit wider on the right, and the Stinger on the left, not quite as wide. Here you can see the damage to the heads, or the lack thereof. Over on the right, the Black Hornet held up very well through 5 shots into the steel plate. The tip got a little bit folded over. You can see that just slightly folded over to the left. And then the Stinger held up remarkably well also. You can see the very tip got a little bit rolled over as well. You can see it from that angle. But man, they held up extremely well for 5 shots through the steel plate. So what'd you think of the Magnus Broadhead battle? Okay, I know it's not really a battle because they're both Magnus heads and they're both great heads, and each of them performed very well, honestly better than I expected. The flight was very good, really good, out to long range. The penetration, very impressive, 9 inches and 9 1/4 inches. The Stinger penetrated just slightly better than did the Black Hornet. And then through steel, both of them held up extremely well through the steel plate and kept their edge through 5 shots. So I would just say overall, man, these are both winners. If you're gonna choose one or the other, I would say if you have a lighter setup, or you're throwing out less kinetic energy, less momentum, then maybe you want to go with the Stinger because it has a smaller cut. It's going to be prone to penetrate a little bit more deeply, perhaps. If you have a little bit heavier setup, and man, you're looking for that extra size, you're getting an extra 1/8 inch cut in both directions with the bleeders and the main blades in the Black Hornet, and they're much thicker blades, so I think they're going to be less prone to bend if they hit a heavy bone. But these are both great heads for me and my purposes. If I'm taking one out in the field, it's going to be the Black Hornet. This thing is really an impressive head, but both are great ones.